welcome to the Teapot Reads. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading, and I'm so happy to see you here today. First of all, I'm going to apologize for my hair now. It's so humid here. It is so humid here, and it takes 5 minutes for it to start going everywhere it's not supposed to be. I've been wrestling with it all morning. Apologies, my hair is probably going to look very messy by the end of this video, even though I have my hairbrush literally right here to help deal with that, but you don't care. I care more about my hair than you do. What are we doing today? We're doing a book tag. I was not tagged in this. I just saw it and thought it was cute. So this is the Hindsight is 2020 book tag, and it seems fun. It's stuff I wanted to talk about anyways. I think this is the perfect vehicle to use to talk about it. I originally, and I will include links down below, but I originally saw this tag on Jolene's Reads video. I will link that video down below. Definitely go subscribe to her. She's so fun to watch. I really enjoy her content. But the tag originates at Erin Go Read, and I will link that down below as well. I've actually never seen Erin Go Read's content, but definitely very curious. I subscribed. I will return to watch some of it. I'm so bad at keeping up on channels, but I try really hard. Question number 1. What were you like as an early or beginning reader? Okay, I've always been a big reader. Like, when I say always, I mean always. Before I knew how to read, I was carrying books around just because they were like comfortable things to have with me. It was books and stuffed animals, but their books were a part of that. And yeah, like, some of my earliest memories are like playing at my local Borders, RIP Borders, but you know, like, I've just always been a reader. So I don't have like the clearest memory of what I was like at the time. My dad would read to me in bed before bed, like, that was just kind of the tradition. Pretty, I want to say until like 2nd grade, maybe not that long, but yeah, like thereabouts. So for a long time, even after I learned how to read, he would read to me before bedtime. We had a lot of series that we would read together that way, and some of those are like my favorite series that like really just still stick with me, like the Droon series by Tony Abbott, which is about these 3 kids who end up finding a staircase to a different world in the basement of one of their houses, and they go and they have adventures, and there's princess there, and it's a great series. I don't know if it's still in print. I have like all of my books from that series still. Another series that I really loved was Spiderwick Chronicles, which is just fantastic. If you've never read it, it's perfect for all ages. So, you know, but like with the Droon series, I remember, so I didn't know how to read, but I loved the book so much that I had like memorized the first like 40 pages or something, and would like sit downstairs and like read aloud because I knew like where the words on the pages were, just because I'd had the story read to me so many times. And like low-key, that was like teaching me to read because I was like associating words with where I knew they were. But yeah, like I've always been a big reader my entire life. So as a small child, super voracious even then, and yeah, it's never really gone away. Never really gone away. What book or book series got you excited for reading as a child? Definitely Droon and Spiderwick. I also really loved Magic Treehouse. Basically anything fantasy. There was this one series about like fairies, like this girl, Pixie Tricks. It was called Pixie Tricks, and she had to basically capture 8 different fairies who had escaped. They were like criminal fairies. She had to capture them, and I don't know what she had to do with them, but each book came with stickers as well, and you collected the stickers. It was a really cool gimmick. It was a really cool series. I don't really remember the details. I sadly don't have any of those books anymore. They were given, not by me, to a cousin, and we'll never see those books again. So very sad to have lost those because they are a really precious part of my memory, but yeah. Those are probably the big series that got me there. Especially when I say Droon, like, I was obsessed. I'm still a little bit obsessed. It laid so much groundwork for not only like stories that I like to read, but like today, but like stories I like to tell, tropes I enjoy, like everything. That series had everything. Is there someone in your life, real or fictional, who has inspired you to become a reader? Yes and no. Like, my parents have always encouraged reading, especially when I was younger. Family members always encouraged reading. But I don't really know anyone who reads as much as I do. Now that I'm like on the internet and everything, and have made like online friends and stuff, yeah, like those people do. But in my like physical space, I've never really met anyone who's read nearly as much as I do. I've definitely met people who love reading as much as I do, but it's still like somewhat different. But I don't think there was like one person or event that made me go like, this is my lifelong hobby, reading. I've always felt really comfortable reading. I I don't know. I think there's just something very, very enticing about being able to escape into a book and experience all these things. Especially, I was a pretty sheltered kid, and I'm still somewhat sheltered, but especially like when I was younger, it was my major form of escapism and getting out. So I think that also probably has a little bit to do with it. At what point did you begin to identify as a reader? Forever. Forever. I was always like the reader kid. In class, I always had, like I said, I always had a book. So at family functions, I was like, oh, there's Sam, she's reading. You know, I was always that kid. I seriously, I've always just read a lot. I've always identified myself as a reader. I know I said I haven't really met anyone who reads nearly as much as I do, but like when I was really little, if other people read a lot, like even a fraction of what I was reading, if other people read a lot, I would get like jealous, be like, no, 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 that's my thing. I'm the reader in this classroom. Like, so silly and petty and very childish, but I was a child. And I've just, you know, my friend group, I think, sees me as the reader. If I do a Zoom call, you can't really do a Zoom call in my room and not get at least one bookshelf in it. So that's still a thing. That's still like a thing that I'm pretty sure they all associate with me. So yeah, just reading has always been a big part of my life. I've always identified as a reader. I will probably always identify as a reader. I think the only point in my life when I didn't do a lot of reading were junior and senior years of college. And I still read, it just wasn't a voracious amount. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was just too mentally ill to do so. It was very hard for me to enjoy reading. And I do kind of struggle with that still, I think. The things that happened those years and the toll that I took mentally, it's still affecting me to this day. I deal with it much better. But yeah, it's still got like ripple effects, and I still sometimes have a much harder time reading, which if you watch my blogs, you've probably seen kind of that kind of thing happening. But yeah, I've always been a reader, always a self-identified reader. How has being a reader shaped your life and worldview? Well, life-wise, obviously, it's made me pour hundreds and thousands of dollars into books. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know, over the course of like 24 years. Too much money, not that much money. It's not drugs. It could be drugs. But worldview, I think it has made me a much more sympathetic and optimistic person to read a lot. I was raised in a fairly conservative household in a very conservative area, and like I said, I was a pretty sheltered kid. I didn't meet a lot of people who weren't like me, and at least not in person. But in books, I read from a lot of different viewpoints. I read stories about people who I will never meet in real life because it's like set in a different world, but you know what I mean? Like, I read from so many different viewpoints. I got so many different ideas, and sometimes this led to me starting a conversation with people around me, and sometimes not, depending on what the conversation would be. But there were so many things that I was opened up to because I was a reader that have definitely shaped me to be very open to what anyone has to say, I think. I have a lot of distinct memories, especially in middle school, of a teacher like asking a very pointed question and me being like, well, that seems racist. I wouldn't say it like directly like that because I think I was still formulating that that's what I was hearing, but I would say things like, well, that seems unfair to the Muslim community, or whatever the pointed question was targeted at. And I remember there was like one specific history teacher who just hated me. And at the time, I did not realize that was probably why, but like reflecting, I do kind of think that had something to do with it. But I have a lot of strong memories of, yeah, like middle school, early high school, people saying things and me just, even if I didn't say anything aloud because I'm a shy, anxious kid, of me thinking, no, that's wrong. Like, that seems wrong. That seems like not well thought out. So I think reading has definitely always put me in the position where I think a lot of things out, especially in like social and societal situations. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I mean, you guys know I read a lot of fantasy, and I think that definitely the type of stories and the type of books that I read definitely shape that, because I still, like, I try to read diversely, but it's still not, you know, as diverse as it could be. But I think even just these stories of empathy and hope and saving the world, like, let's be honest, it's definitely shaped me into someone who thinks and truly believes all of these things are possible, even when I get like really bleak and watch like Bo Burnham's Inside. I'm like, yeah, the world's ending, but also like we can still save it. I very strongly believe that. So yeah, I'm like a super optimist, being very sympathetic. I think that's really the big ways it shaped me. And the final question is to tag someone who's reading history you were curious about. And I don't know, anyone watching this, I love watching this tag. I think it's a lot of fun, especially to compare on BookTube, like who's been reading for a long time, who's kind of new to it. I always find it really interesting when people come to reading as adults, because it is so different from the experience I had. And I think that's so awesome. Like, because reading is something that can catch you at any time in your life. Like, my brother is kind of only just discovered that he enjoys reading. And yeah, I think it's so awesome. And I love, you know, hearing people's stories about like when they started reading and things that influenced them, because yeah, I don't know. I have a hard time imagining what it must be like to find it as an adult, because it's been such an active part of my life for so long. It's been the biggest way I spend my time, what I spend most of my time thinking about. I mean, I work at a bookstore, like, all I do is books. And people who, like, had life pre-book, like, what is that like? Was it a social life? Like, tell me, I don't understand. No, but seriously, anyone, I wanna watch it. But let me know if you did this tag, even if it wasn't because I did the tag. But let me know down below, because I will definitely go check out your videos if I haven't already. So yeah, I think that's it. And my hair did not get nearly as bad as I thought it would be. So like, that's awesome. That's so awesome. But thank you for sticking around. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you are having a great rest of your day. And if it is cold where you're at, I hope you are staying warm. If it is warm where you're at, I hope you are staying comfortable. And most of all, I hope you're reading a great book. Bye-bye. I will see you next week.